Welcome back, Apex Hunters. We've got a episode for you guys in store. This week is the Chinese Grand Prix, which is going to be an absolute banger of a track and race as well. With me today, we have Nash joining us. Nash, how you doing?
I'm doing great in yourself, man.
I can't complain. We're getting 2 weeks back to back F1 action. What's there not to love about the start of the season, you know?
That's what you love about the start of the season, especially a season where there's so many races, but we get a double header at the beginning of the season. It's always really nice to have.
It really is, and I enjoy it, especially with us starting like in the east. Then we go slowly more west, west, west until we hit like Europe races. Then we go to the Americas, come back for Europe for a little bit, and then go to the Middle East. It's always excites. Only the issue is timing. Like the East, you wake up early. In the West, you go to bed very late. So it really does hurt your sleep schedule. But we do have China coming up. What are your thoughts on China?
I think China's going to be an interesting race, especially because it's not particularly a track that gets used too often. The location of it might turn out to be a wet race just like last year. And if it does, that's going to be a little exciting. Again, like I said, if you want some excitement, turn on the sprinklers.
I agree, I agree. But I honestly think I want a dry race for China because it is going. I really want to like see what the capability of everyone's car is in the dry, right? The wet weather racing is brilliant because it shows the driver's skill, as well as some luck gets involved with the pit stop if there's more rain, if there's not enough rain. There's some strategy to that as well, and trying to utilize the luck. But I think we really, really just need a dry race, and I think China is the one to do that for us. I mean, even if I look at the weather, I'm looking at the weather for Shanghai, where the circuit is. Uh, Sunny for Saturday. Looks all sunny. Only thing is, it's gonna be cloudy on Sunday, which we never know. I mean, all depends on what time the race starts locally. Because if the race is anywhere at 6 o'clock or 6 p.m., there's predicted rain falling down. But I think it's still a day race, so we're probably safe from seeing that. Which means we get to talk about my favorite point of today: Lando versus Max, the Beast and the Machine.
The
I
unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
uh,
I'll let you decide which one is which.
absolutely. I think Max is the unstoppable, the immovable object. Lando, with that car, is an unstoppable force, right? And I think McLaren have got the best package out of all the teams, and
Yep.
we are yet to see that package fail. Which I think, and I hope that Lando doesn't get to run away, right? I hope Lando has his typical oh no fails first lap, drops down like 5 places, and then he fights through the grid, and then he has to catch up to Max, and then we've got a lovely battle
No,
between the two.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Right?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
I never heard you one time like you say this about Max Verstappen. Leave Lando alone. Let my guy have his moment. Jeez, bro. Why are you like this?
Are you telling me that seeing and watching Lando absolutely dust everyone else is not going to be interesting at all? Do you really want a race where Lando sits it on pole, he then starts the race nicely, beautifully, gets the lead, and then he's 30 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen? Is that the race you really want? No, no battle.
I want to see him versus Oscar Piastri for real. That's what I want to see.
I, I, I I agree. I think
That's what I want to see. I want to see Oscar Piastri versus Lando Norris for real. I want to see them actually race because they have the same car. And yes, okay, maybe it's a little selfish, but it's the best car on the track. And we're gonna see that when if in a dry race. And we'll see. We'll see. I hope China's dry. That would be great if it's dry. I would I am a big fan of turning on the sprinklers like at the end of the race just for fun. But, you know, if it's a dry race, I'm also perfectly happy with that. I think Lando versus Max is going to be more of a strategy battle because I think the McLaren is quicker. So, and Max has said it best, and he said it multiple times since last season, even that their car just chews through the tires way more than the McLaren does. And the McLaren, the more the wear is, the quicker the car seems to get.
I agree, and I honestly think that all the teams are going to struggle heavily around China because China, first of all, feels like a low grip circuit, especially when you drive around it. I'm basing this purely off of the game, but
Mm-hmm.
you really feel like you're losing grip. You don't have that grip, and you are constantly on that knife's edge where any if you just step 1 foot out and you're going to end up spinning or you're just going to lose so much time because there is no more grip off of that racing line and that
Mm.
exact ideal line, which I think will play a very big part into Max's qualifying laps because if there's one thing, Max is precise. If he can do anything, it's lap after lap after lap, hit those same apexes, hit the same line consistently. I think Max will have a fair shot at pole at China. The only part is whether he overheats the tires by the time they get to the long straight. And, that long straight adds in extra complexity because majority, sector 1 and sector 2 of the track is all about downforce, and then you get to sector 3 where it's the majority is the long straight, and it's like, oh, now you that all that downforce you had hurts you. So I think McLaren having that little mini DRS trick will help them a lot, especially in the battle against Max. But I'd like to see them on that straight line. Like I would love to see a battle of like Max and Lando all the way up into that third sector. They get to the big long right hander, and then it's just a straight line battle to the braking zone, and we can see whether who outbrakes who, and how big of an effect that DRS has on the cars. But
I
ultimately,
don't disagree.
I think
I don't disagree
yeah,
at all. I just want to say that the Red Bull is not the fastest car in a straight line because they are, I think, they're the third fastest car, which is not great. So they're kind of in that situation where if they're going to be racing McLaren in a straight line, McLaren is actually pretty quick. So there's a higher likelihood that with more laps and more laps, is the gap is just going to grow, and I think it's going to be the two McLarens racing each other again.
yeah, I must agree. But I did see this week so far the FIA have issued a technical directive to help negate the mini DRS effect that McLaren currently have.
Hmm.
So we'll see. Maybe they might lose some of that top end speed, and that can play a nice advantage into helping the other teams catch up. I think ultimately, I want to see the battle on the track and just see what happens. I think Oscar is going to play a vital role in this whole season, right? Because he will either have to one support Lando again, or the team needs to get rid of their papaya rules and let the man actually fight. I don't want to see this thing of Lando or Oscar do not overtake. Nah, Nobody can challenge us in the first bit of the season, especially as McLaren. Let the drivers
Okay,
fight.
okay. I will say this from a management perspective, they don't care which driver comes one, two. They just want the one, two. McLaren as a team, it's like, nah, dude, we don't really care which one of you guys it is. We just are probably going to pick Lando because Lando has been offered an opportunity to go to Red Bull. Red Bull did headhunt him. They did try to get Lando, and Lando decided, "No, I'm going to stay at McLaren." So McLaren are like, "Yo, we're going to reward this loyalty with the World Championship. We've got the constructors. If we have these two drivers, we can get the constructors again. We just need Oscar to play the Mark Webber role right now, and everything will be fine." But Mark Webber is his agent, and Mark Webber's like, "No, dude, we're not having this whole number two driver thing." So the reality is there's a possibility Max Verstappen wins this world championship if he's consistent and Lando and Oscar take points off each other.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest fear McLaren will have right now is whether they mess up like they did last year. Let's be real. Last year, Lando could have won had they not, one, given Oscar the worst first victory ever, and two, is a couple other mistakes Lando made. But the team could have given him that championship last year, but ultimately they failed on that. So we'll see whether they truly prioritize. It's still very early in the season to say
It is
who.
still it is still very early, but I also don't think um, would have been realistic for them to actually have won, or Lando specifically to have won the Drivers' World Championship. I think was just a little too out of reach. Yes, there was a point where it felt like, oh, maybe it is, but yeah, I think it ended at like 63 points. That's a lot. That is a lot. That's more than three race wins.
I mean, what? Let's take.
More than three race wins.
I mean, you take Hungary.
So
You take if they didn't crash into each other in what's it called, Austria. That could have been some good points for Lando. I mean, okay, that was little mistakes, but hey, that's in the past. We're looking at China right now. Ultimately, I think, like you said, Mark Webber is Oscar's agent or manager, so I see Oscar fighting. I don't see like Lando just running away with his championship. They will keep trading points with each other, and we'll see. Maybe all the second places Max picks up can end up putting him in an interesting position where he could win. It all depends on the packages that follows after like the first six races, because right now they'll probably run the same package until like round six, bring in some more upgrades or major upgrades. So yeah, I think that that'll be an interesting one. Another battle I'm also quite interested in seeing is actually Ferrari versus Mercedes. I think both of these two teams are actually very close in terms of performance. We didn't get to see it now in Australia because of the rain. Really, I mean, Charles was almost a second off of George's pace and Kimby's pace in the wet. So I think Mercedes have the advantage, but I don't want to discount Ferrari because those guys can bring some random upgrade that will end up pushing them so far ahead, and it can leave Mercedes in the dust.
yeah, I think it depends on if Ferrari's package has been put together right. We'll see how they perform at China. There's a lot of high downforce on that racetrack. Last year they were pretty competitive, so we'll see this year. There's a likelihood they'll be a lot more competitive. Mercedes, I think, are a lot of have a lot of weather dependencies, and that might not prove to be effective, but we'll see. It should be relatively cool. I haven't looked at the weather. You've said it's going to be a little foggy in that morning, so in the morning of the race. So we'll actually see how they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to look at the weather. And so they're gonna in Shanghai on Sunday. It will be a max of 24 degrees Celsius, a low of 14. So we could expect track temperatures to be around 17, 18 degrees. So that should help Mercedes overall. It's not gonna be too hot. So their engine cooling issues, it's still a funny thing that they still have those issues in this day and age. I know they built their car based off of the idea that they will always be in front, but they should realize that they're no longer in front, so they gotta deal with that dirty air and fix their cooling issues. Ferrari, on the other hand, I think they have their two drivers. Lewis is still playing catch up. I don't know for how much longer Lewis is going to play catch up. And then Charles is busy having a great time with his engineer. Words of wisdom. I hope we get some more words of wisdom. We can write a book about the words of wisdom from Charles and Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean that was. I think there's been a whole strategy problem at Ferrari because it's been a strategy thing, but it's also an engineer thing. The engineers are, wow, sometimes they say things and just keep talking. And both Charles and Lewis were telling them to let me just drive, please, quiet. And they just didn't let them. So yeah, it's it's been an adjustment for Lewis. I think Charles is getting annoyed with some of the tendencies that the Ferrari garage have, and they're both just they're both going to have their patience tested in China because there's a lot of strategy that will come into play there, especially to get the tire selection right and the tire strategy right. So yeah, let's just hope they don't mess it up.
Yeah, I agree. Which, yeah, like, if you look at Mercedes, right, over the Australian Grand Prix, they were trying a completely different tire strategy, and I think the fact that the wet weather came in saved them from whatever strategy they were in. I think Mercedes were going to make a similar bad call tire strategy as Ferrari did. I know Ferrari decided to ultimately keep the drivers out in the wet, but let's hope this time round they they plan well ahead. They use previous data on the track and hope that they can get a good strategy call and start off the race with a real bang. Right. On to the next topic though. Is who are your top five for China? So I'll start us off first. My top five for the Chinese Grand Prix will be Lando, Max, Oscar. I think those three are probably solidified. If you're not putting both McLarens in the top 10, or top 10, top 3, you don't know the pace of those cars, and I think you weren't watching the race. So, Lando, Oscar, Oscar or Max. I think I want to say Max for P2 and then Oscar for P3. P4, I think George Russell is going to keep his streak up and be quite stable and at P4. And then P5, I'm gonna have to go back with my team Mercedes. I'm gonna say Kimi Antonelli is going to keep the top five. Is going to end the top five there for China this weekend. I know it's a new track for him, so we'll see what he can do.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but because it's a new track, I think it's going to be a little different. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to start from P5. So my P5, I think, is going to be Charles Leclerc. I think he's going to get the better of Lewis in the race. My P4 is going to be George Russell. Think he's going to be, I think he's consistently just outside of the top three right now. Good driver, high quality. I think he'll be, I think he'll be in that top five consistently throughout the season. My P3 is Max Verstappen, and then my P2 is Oscar Piastri. My P1 is Lando Norris. But that's dependent. I think maybe Oscar Piastri might just take the bull by its horns this weekend and put together winning a winning campaign or something. I don't know. I hope he has a good race. I would really love to see Oscar win some races this season. And yeah, I just think Lando's probably going to win. Um, he's something about the aura right now is high end. It feels like he will be a world champion.
Mm, yeah, I have to. I have to agree. I'm still on Lando being high end. The world champion. I want to see him get crowned at first before I say much else. Um, why I say Max might be P2 is Oscar still has like a little bit. He's got the pace. He definitely does. But it feels like Oscar still got that little teething pain. So he needs to find that lap, get those consistencies, or get in the groove. Because once Oscar gets into his groove, he's set, right? He's going to be quick. And the only thing McLaren need to do and realize is that they need to stop getting into Oscar's head. Because the moment they're like, yeah, don't fight, it's almost like they break his whole concentration, his motivation to keep running at the front like he is. And I mean, that can lead to just him making one mistake that damages the car, and now he is a lot slower. As for my P5 pick, I still think Kimi will get the better of the Ferraris because I think the Mercedes package is just better. The only issue is that it's the first time Kimi's racing on this track, so it's a whole new world for them, for him and the other rookies as well. So yeah, we'll have to see. I definitely do think Lando wins the race.
Yeah, I definitely think Lando wins the race. I think speaking of the rookies, we should actually have a chat about them because the rookie predictions is going to be quite interesting. Um, Firstly, I hope all of them finish the race, so we're going to work on that as a base. Um, I think Kimi Antonelli will probably be the best of the rookies at China. I think he's just one of those drivers, but I also think Liam Lawson might be really good there because I don't know if he's raced there, but when he raced in the Super Formula, he experienced a bunch of different racetracks and should be adaptable. Um, I don't know. Ollie Berman, not too sure the Haas package will be too great. Gabriel Bortoleto, that Sauber is surprisingly quicker than I expected, but we'll have to see it in the dry to confirm that. But yeah, they look like they might have a competent package and might just be knocking on the door of points. I don't know about Jack Doohan. I'm not certain. Hope he gets some points. He might not. It's a thing we'll have to see. And Isaac Hajar has to have a better start to his racing season, well, his racing career in F1 at least. And hopefully, depending on how the package comes together, he might be able to compete for points depending on how Williams are and is I was about to call them AlphaTauri, but Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, are they a package that can get points consistently, at least.
Yeah. Um, some good points. Some good points there. I'll start at the back. I think in probably the last two positions, it's gonna be that Haas package, unless there's obviously DNFs, which will boost them up in positions. But I think it will definitely be the Haas, which is unfortunate for Ollie Berman. He'll probably end up being there at the back. Next up, I say it's the Alpine. So Jack Doohan will be there, being next in line. After Jack, it will be most likely Gabriel Bortoletto, but I think he will be placing around like 13th, like almost 11 to 13. That's where I'm like kind of picturing him, because he's able to get something really out of that package, as well as like it blew my mind at his pace that he had already with a car that I would assume isn't even really getting upgrades. So that's where I picture him. Next is Isaac Hadjar. I see him getting points. It's gonna be a tough fight for him to get points, because one, he's got to beat his teammate in the who will most likely get points. Two is both the Williams, Carlos and Alex. Those two are going to fight for those last few points paying positions, and I ultimately see maybe the best result could be like a P8. But that's very wishful thinking, especially since it's the first time the rookies have been on this track, right? Then after Isaac, I would put it's going to be a close battle between Liam and Kimmy. I think that because Liam's birth by fire into F1 at the Zanderford race, I think Liam will be able to pull something together, especially now that he's driven the car. I think his whole crash that happened in Australia was purely down to the fact that it's wet tire. He's got slicks in the wet, and I don't know how great of a driver you are. I don't think anybody can really salvage a spinning car in the wet like that. So I would put Liam, and then Kimmy. I think Kimmy's just got the better package for all the rookies. Yeah. Did I miss anyone?
Yeah, I don't disagree with the Kimi point. I think he's going to be the person that does the best in this race out of the rookies. Yeah, I think he proved himself quite handy during the wet in Melbourne. So I'm super impressed, and yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great battle. I think. Um,
Mhm.
I'm very interested to see like Kimmy versus Lawson. Like both of them are fast drivers, very unrelenting, and it. I think it will be a really great watch to see those two just go head to head, multiple laps, and just enjoy it. But
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I do not disagree. Yeah, I think I think China is going to be an interesting race. I think we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an absolutely awesome race to see. It's exciting to have racing back, and looking forward to this.
absolutely, yeah. I couldn't say it even better myself. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be this episode of our preview for China that's going to happen this weekend. Don't forget to come join us on our live stream. We stream every race, qualifying as well as race time. We'll be live on Twitch. Twitch.tv apex double underscore hunters. So join us there. Link is in the description as well. Cheers.
Cheers.